Welcome to Whiskey Society. Hope you're well out there. Episode 4. We're talking Weller 107 Antique. Now, this bottle used to be an underline, bold, used to be MSRP $26. And out here in Oregon, we were actually able to get it for $26. Supply was limited, yes, and you had to make a few phone calls and do a little hunting to get it, certainly. But at $26, this bottle, fantastic value, right? Classic wheated bourbon, Buffalo Trace distilling heritage, the Weller name, the legend, the story, which is probably true because it makes sense and they're so similar, that Weller is essentially Pappy, just not the honey barrels, and they're aged in a different area of the warehouse. That the honey barrels, the best barrels, get the Pappy labeling, and the really good but not quite as good in theory, as the story goes, as Pappy, get poured into the Weller label. $26, this was a steal. That's why it blew up, right? The stories, the value, all of it absolutely blew up. It went crazy. Secondary markets, pricing got way too high, out of control. But recently, in December 2019, a month ago, Buffalo Trace, the peoples of Buffalo Trace, have decided that this is no longer a $26 MSRP bottle. They've upped it to $50. Okay, I'm sure that's for inventory management reasons, and I'm sure there's some marketing in there. But at $50 now, this is a completely different bottle. It's competing with a huge range of other bourbons out there that are at that $50 mark or less. Okay, so in episode 4, we're going to talk about, is the value still there? Is this still a special bottle at $50? And is it worth the hunt, worth the effort, worth the budget hit? Weller 107, putting you on notice. Episode 4 starts now.
Uncorked bottle straight to the face. Whiskey flood in my teeth, can I get a taste? Separate the flavor clean, no chase. Barrel strength in my veins, never replaced. Straight up meat over rocks keep.
Weller 107, let's get to it. We'll do a quick taste on this bad boy, and then I'll give you some other options, some alternative bottles that are no more than $50 MSRP. Much of them are less. There's going to be some in the lineup that are, also sometimes always hard to find, but at a better price. And there's some that are going to be right at that $50 mark, but much more accessible. And then there's going to be others that are much more accessible and much less than that $50 mark. And I'm not going to be able to do tasting notes on all these bottles. I got a couple handfuls worth of different labels to show you, and it'd just take too much time. But I want to give you some alternative options. If you can't find this, or if $50 is out of your budget, or if $50 is in your budget and you want to experience other types of flavors and bourbons, then maybe you find something in the lineup we got here for you. Classic wheated, on the nose, classic wheated bourbon, really nice. The wheated gives you a little bit of smoothness. It's definitely balanced. You can really get your nose in there. There's no burn. It's very nice. There's a reason why this was so highly hyped, right? Especially at the old MSRP of $26. It's a very good bourbon. Okay. We add in that undertone of that Pappy lineage, if you will, and things exploded. It's complex, it's rounded. It's got that nice sweetness on the front end, a little bit of pepper, wood spice in the back, but it's a little bit more elevated wood. It's more like a cedar than an oak. I realized it was aged in oak, not cedar, but it has a little bit more, powerful, a little bit more expressive wood note. But I'm getting, some pear, some vanilla sweetness, dark sugar sweetness, a little bit of like a bacon, oily, not really the smoke note of a bacon, but that oily creaminess, fatty note of bacon. What else do I have? Raisin, dark fruit, a little bit of cinnamon. It's just really nice. Okay, it's at $26, the old price, very fair. I realize a lot of you couldn't get it $26, but it was available on the West Coast here for $26. When you're able to find it, steal at that price. Okay, steal. I'm admitting that. But this is at 50 now, and for many of us, especially as you start getting into the Eastern time zones, you're going to be paying well over the $50, and if you can find it. Really good. Okay, it's very good. Buffalo Trace does a great job on this. I understand. I think it's fair that it's a $50 bourbon. I think it is at that level. But like I said, the competition has expanded drastically once we hit that $50 mark. So let's get you some other bottles to compare. Okay, first, one of my favorites, period, and I realize there are accessibility issues with Elmer T. Lee, right? But this bad boy is at 90 proof, single barrel sour mash, coming from Buffalo Trace Distillery as well. The story of Elmer T. Lee is one of my favorites. The father of single barrel, if you will. If you can find it, the MSRP here, I believe in Oregon, is mid-30s. It comes out a couple times a year here in Oregon, and I like it more than the Weller 107 Antique, and this is a steal, lower MSRP. Okay, so Elmer T. Lee. Second, now also having availability issues, Henry McKenna Bottled and Bond 10-year. This is also MSRP in the mid-30s. Bottled and Bond, obviously, so it's right at our 100 proof. Fantastic bourbon coming out of Heaven Hill. Hard to find now. Lots of hype around it. Great value, great flavor. If you can get this, either one of these bottles, I prefer it over. Especially, you're talking $15 less, maybe even more on the secondary market. Okay. This bad boy, Angel's Envy, we are at 87 proof. This one's a little bit unique, Kentucky straight bourbon, but it's finished in port barrels. This is a fantastic bottle. This is widely available. All right, this is going to be on the shelf. MSRP on this, I think, is right at 50. Yep, this guy's got it right at $50. Really nice, balanced, unique. I love it. That fruit note from the port. Fantastic, easy sipper, doesn't need ice, doesn't need water, doesn't even need to be close to ice or water. Really nice, classic bourbon notes with that little bit of, port there to make it a little bit unique. Okay, Eagle Rare. Yep, again, a lot of us have a hard time finding this. Another Buffalo Trace product. The price point here in the 30s, really solid. Kentucky straight bourbon. Proof on this bad boy right at 90. Tasty, classic, smooth, balanced. A buddy of mine, this is one of his favorites, and I really like it too. If this is available and the Weller's not, grab your Eagle Rare. Okay. Next one. Let me start making some room here. The single barrel, Four Roses single barrel, right? $50 mark as well for pricing, readily available, great classic bourbon. The single barrel, so you get a little bit of uniqueness each time you taste it. And Four Roses does a fantastic job. They have a great line, but at the price point, readily available, I don't think you can go wrong. If you can't get Weller, or maybe you don't like the Weller 107, this is a great alternative bottle, Four Roses single barrel. Okay. The proof on this one specifically, right at 100. All right. Larceny, another Wheater. Okay, this one's coming out of Heaven Hill as well. It's part of that, Old Fitzgerald, John Fitzgerald. Let me give you a better look at it here. 92 proof. The price point on this guy, I think, let me get my notes. This is in the 30s here, MSRP for Oregon. It's a Wheater, like I said, just like the 107. Really nice, a little bit more spice, in my opinion, compared to the Weller. Classic, rounded, bourbon, complex, really tasty. It gets a lot of press about it as well, but much more readily available. It's on the shelf here in Oregon, and a great alternative to the Weller 107. Okay, now we're getting a little bit higher proof, guys. Here, Old Ezra. This bad boy is at 117 proof. I think this thing's awesome, coming out of Lux Distillery. I really enjoy this one. This is 35 here in MSRP. Oregon again sells at MSRP. It's a control state. Really, really tasty. Balanced for the proof that it is. Got some nice cinnamon. Got some nice pepper into it. I think it's a little bit higher rye. That I haven't looked into the mash bill, but just based off taste, I think it's got a little bit higher rye. Really nice bourbon. Pricing wise, again, much more available, cheaper than the 107. This gets a lot of nice accolades as well. I think it was in the top 20 of Whiskey Advocate for 2019, and really solid purchase here. Really good value bourbon. All right, higher proof still. We are at 125 proof for the 1792 full proof. Okay, so certainly you're going to have more bite here. It's going to be bolder at that type of a proof. $50, complex, nice long finish, classic bourbon flavor. This bad boy is a steal. Early Times, bottled and bond, obviously 100 proof. This is available in a liter here in my state. $22 for the liter. Not a fifth, a liter, $22. Extreme value bourbon here. I thought this had some really nice, sort of cake batter frosting note. A little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of pepper, a little bit of wood. Not an extremely long finish. That's fair for $22 for the liter. Again, a liter. Really nice, good sip bourbon. Really tasty. I actually did a blind tasting with this bottle, the Early Times Bottle Bond, the Weller, and a handful of others, and these were both in my top 3. Okay, so there's extreme value here. If you can find this, well, it's readily available, but if you can track it down and get it from your store, I'm not sure if they sell it in a fifth. Like I said, it was only available in a liter in Oregon, but I would imagine there's fifths out there closer to Kentucky. Great value steal here, okay? Really solid sipper. I'm sure you could use it in, on rocks or in a cocktail as well, but I enjoyed it neat. The key here is that if this is now out of your budget, or it always was because of the secondary market, don't, stress over it. Other bottles available, and I think you'll really enjoy the process of tasting them and experiencing some of these labels that we have here. One final time, Eagle Rare, Larceny, Four Roses Single Barrel, Elmer T. Lee, Henry McKenna, 10-year bottle and bond, Angel's Envy Bourbon, Port Finish, Early Times bottle and bond, pick of the litter here value-wise, really fantastic for the price. The Old Ezra 7 Lux Row Distilling, and our 1792 full proof. With that said, enjoy the hunts and enjoy whiskey, you guys. Work hard, whiskey easy, respect others, share your whiskey. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good one. Cheers.